What do you guys think about the knees over toes guy?
Oh, we're just calling right out, man. We're just going dropping names in the podcast.
Names, man. Listen, I've been asked this, so I'm asking my guys that I respect that would give it to me straight. Because I looked at I like some of his stuff too. I'm not gonna lie, and I heard he's a nice guy, and he's made a good name for himself right now. So, I mean, what do you guys think, Kyle?
I've spoken to him just through like DMs, here and there, and I definitely think he's a nice dude and he's a good guy. And the biggest thing that I look at is a lot of it is like the knee isolation stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Where he's doing a lot of Nordics for the hamstrings, especially like the distal hamstrings, and he's doing a lot of like sissy squats for the VMO and like the kind of the distal quads. And while he's doing that, he is, especially with the sissy squats, like if you look at any of the like the tendiopathy research or anything like that, like he is also doing a lot of training for the actual connective tissue, and especially like the patellar tendon and some of that stuff. So, when I look at what he's doing, especially from like kind of those foundational movements, like he still squats and RDLs and does those things, but there is a lot of just kind of, again, like knee isolation based stuff, and then a lot of just larger compound movements when he starts getting into the dead, like the RDLs and the actual like front squats and some of the other things he does. I don't know what the programming looks like at all. Yeah. But if I just look at the movements and I look at that plus the plyometrics, plus the fact that he plays ball just about every day from what I can tell, I think it looks like a lot of kind of the stimulate not annihilate type training methodology, where it's kind of high stimulus but low volume, and then a whole lot of just like playing and actually doing the actual sport is what it kind of looks like to me. And that makes sense to me from an athletic perspective. And I think there's other components too, just with what he's doing from like the isometrics and other things as well, where when I look at what he's doing, like a lot of it would be like great foundational stuff, especially when I was in college and kind of just getting into weightlifting, we were doing 5x5s of stuff. Like there was no athletic development with the strength and conditioning we were doing. Like we would literally do 5x5, like basically power lifter type workouts as basketball players. And I'm 6'4" and change, and one of the shortest dudes, right? We got 6'10" guys doing 5x5s of squats and deadlifts and bench presses. Like nothing made sense. And when I look at what he's doing, I'm like, well, if we're looking at optimal, like I don't always know because I don't know if we can define it, but if we're looking at like better than a lot of the other stuff out there, I would say yes. Just as a comparison point, because a lot of the stuff is not, from a tissue tolerance perspective or from an athletic development perspective, it's not applicable to dynamic sports at all. So he does a lot of stuff obviously in the toes. He gets the knees over the toes is his name, but you also look at like gait and jumping. The knees always cross the toe. You're always in your forefoot, when you're in late stance.
We produce force.
Jumping. So I had a really good coach, and and it was in college, but he was like, nothing athletic happens in your heels. It's just like those are your breaks. So the majority of the stuff that he's doing is in the forefoot.
I like that.
So it's just, there's a lot of pluses. I don't know enough about the programming at all to probably even comment on it, but just what I see, I think a lot of it looks pretty applicable for what his niche is, for sure.
Listen, man, there's a lot of bullshit on social media, and I do not think that the knees over toes guy is one of those people that's like bullshitting on social media. Like the thing that I like the most about him is every time that he's posting something about his personal knee response, or his clients' knee responses, or things like that he's been dealing with, he's building more evidence that training is the way to make these things better. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I respect the most about him, is that every time you're doing something, whether it's knee rehab, whether it's athletic development or something like that, there is an emphasis on progressive overload, training through a full range of motion, pushing as much range of motion as you can so you can strengthen the end ranges of the tissue. Like Kyle was saying, he's doing a lot of exaggerated isometrics and a lot of very exaggerated range of motion, which you would see in a physical therapy clinic anyway when you're looking at people doing like knee rehab. Like for yours, when you were in PT, and for mine, like I did leg extensions, I did step-ups, I did lunges, and he's making people do all of that exact same stuff with a focus on driving the knees over the toes as much as humanly possible. Like they're just looking at progressively strengthening the tissue in an area where it could be relatively weak. And I think that like that the fact that he just integrates it directly into training is a very, very, very good thing. And I actually I really, really respect that about what he's doing, because a lot of the other like rehab professionals that you see, the first thing that they make you do is immediately like, okay, well, we're just not going to lift weights or train, and you're going to just not do anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like you're going to foam roll for 6 hours, or you're going to do these mobility drills, or you're going to do these respiration drills, or you're going to just train body weight in like a TRX. Like his thing that he starts people with is pushing load and pushing weight and pushing movement. And I think that is a really, really awesome thing to do. And I think it's a good and it's a positive thing for social media fitness in general.